over the last couple of years, we've kind of talked about that dead cap money, and you've talked about it more than anybody.
$15 million.
Suter and Parise, they signed those big deals and then had to buy them out. They're going to have so much dead money, and they are what they are. They are tied with Winnipeg with 2 regulation losses.
Yeah.
As great as Winnipeg has been, they're right there, 11-2-3. Kaprizov is right behind McKinnon in the scoring. 10 goals, 30 points in 16 games. And I didn't like the John Hines hire when they let Dean Evison go. You go back because it was Boudreau, right? Boudreau was sour when he got gassed, and then Evison was sour because he got gassed.
Yeah.
They're doing a hell of a, again, Billy Guerin maybe, right? They're doing a hell of a job there, given all of that, because they've got some unreal young talent, and it's Rossi and it's Boldy, and obviously they're an exciting friggin' team now.
Think about that cap pinch, forced them to trade Fiala. Oh, what a tough spot to be in. They turned it into Brock Faber. Yeah. That's a great deal.
Not a bad player.
Years up here to
I mean, that's what it is. It's never one guy, but imagine the conversation that Billy Guerin would have had to have had with Leopold, the owner of Minnesota Wild, going in there. Oh, by the way, I've got this idea. I want to buy out Parise and Ryan Suter. And we're going to take it right between the eyes for the next few years. But when the dust settles, you're paying players that aren't. But when the dust settles, we're going to come out of it and we're going to be a better team. That's a credit to Billy Guerin. That's a credit to ownership for trusting his management to do what's right. And sometimes you got to spend money to make money. And evidently, Billy Guerin knows what he's doing as an NHL general manager. You guys, I'm sure, pay closer attention than most media and certainly fans do in the East in the Minnesota Wild. Obviously, because of the conference. Kaprizov is a superstar in the National Hockey League. He just is. And we barely talk about him nationally.
Can you imagine if he was in Montreal?
Oh my God. You put him in. Yeah. I mean, and how about the deal for Gustafsson? I watched that game last night. I mean, this guy just stops pucks. That's all he does. I mean, Billy Guerin, and that's it overall. I'm trying to formulate the thought on because I don't want to oversell Billy. Like, every general manager makes mistakes. Sure. And to be frank, he hasn't won anything yet. He's made some very bold decisions, but here's what I like best about Billy. I'll get to my point, is he's a gunslinger. That's what he is. He knows what the end goal is. The end goal is to win a championship. And he's got to pay close attention to the finances. And he had to convince his owner to take it in the teeth financially and all of that. But at the end of the day, he also knows what he's going to be judged by. And that's, okay, this is a good team. If they get bounced in the first round of the playoffs, guess who's going to be held accountable? I'm not saying he's in the crosshairs, because he probably isn't, but that's where he'll get to, because he's not afraid to do what you have to do sometimes to make your team better.
Final year of that pain, $14.7 million in the Parise Suter buyouts.
Can you just explain what that means?
So essentially, what's the cap this year, Dregs? Like 87 and a half? Yeah. Like they have more than 20% of their cap dedicated to guys going away. Don't be here. Bonkers. Stop showing up. We'll keep paying you to go somewhere else. Yeah. And that essentially their internal cap's closer to $70 million than it is $87 million. And they have one of the most competitive hockey clubs in the NHL. Because of the way that Suter and Parise were structured with all the bonuses they had, there are some years that are incredibly punitive on the buyouts and others that are not. This is the last punitive year. Next year, it's less than $2 million. The year after, less than $2 million. Year after, less than $2 million. Right now, it's almost $15 million, and they're good.
But to your point, Dregs, that's quite a okay, I'm going to go down the hall and talk to the owner.
I need $100 million to pay people to go away. Not to help our team, to maybe change the culture and get these guys out of here. Like, that's wild.
It is. But look, I mean, the math just didn't slap these guys upside the head one day. I mean, that's why you have a staff, and Billy's a sharp guy. And, you would forecast and make sense of the transaction, the way it was managed, because you also know when you look at expiring contracts coming up for the Minnesota Wild, they're going to start paying guys. And they're going to start paying guys big numbers coming up.
Year, or is it one more?
One more. And he's a guy that'll slot in between Draisaitl and Pasternak. He's going to be 12, 13, 14 because the cap keeps going up. And honestly, if you're doing an MVP vote today, he's a top 3 guy.
Has to be. Has to be.
Like he's right there with McKinnon in points, and his team's played much better than McKinnon's.
And everybody's biased to be, but you listen to some of the veteran players on that Minnesota Wild team talk about Kaprizov. Of course they're biased. They're around him all the time, but it's not hard to find a teammate who says he's the best in the league. And that's saying a lot when you think of what McDavid is capable of, and Sid is still right up there for me. And I mean, go down the list, but these are guys of Zuccarello go down the list who played a ton of hockey, who recognize the skill set of this guy.
Boy, and you think about that team. I don't think, like you say, in the East, I know you guys don't think about the Minnesota Wild because we're close to it and we don't think about them. They got a great rink. Yeah. It's a great atmosphere. I've been to a game there. The crowd, obviously, phenomenal. It's a state of hockey. The rink's sold out. They've got a great team, solid ownership.
Yeah.
It should be one of the prizes of the entire league.
They missed one thing. They haven't had a playoff run, right? Yeah. You look back, it was probably since like Rolison, like it's been ages since they've gone deep.
Yeah.
If you want to make waves, you kind of got to be relevant in the spring. Carolina is an even more forgettable market, but because they've been in the Final Four and the Final Eight so often, they're front of mind with us. But that's the only thing they're missing in my mind. Hey guys, thanks for watching. Be sure to check out more of our content right here on the Flames Nation YouTube page. We had a bunch of great long-form interviews. You can check out some videos we've done as well outside of the studio. And of course, if you want more writing or merchandise stuff, flamesnation.ca or nationgear.ca. Appreciate you watching.